This is the finale to our 2019 edition of the Gauntlet of Garbage, in which we look back at all the films that people called the worst movies of the previous year. And I think if you're going to watch one movie that perfectly sums up the worst things about moviegoing in 2018, it has to be the movie that killed Moviepass. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't.
This movie was actually produced by Moviepass.
Oh.
And they lost a ton of money on it. And here's the thing, Moviepass, for all the people who watch this years from now and don't remember Moviepass at all, Moviepass, it, as we know now, was this thing where you pay like $10 a month and you could go and see one movie a day and they would pay for it. And here's the thing, when I originally signed up for Moviepass, I was an early adopter of Moviepass, and it cost me up in New York $40 a month, which made sense because movie tickets in New York are like $17 to $18. So if I saw 3 movies in a month, I made my money back. I was actually getting a discount then, and then everything after that was gravy. But then they went to one flat rate across the entire country of $10 a month, and I was like, oh, well, if I see one movie a month, you automatically lost money on me. And it actually worked for them for a while. They did get a lot more business off of this. I've often said that, hey man, making things more affordable actually is good for business, but they made it too affordable. They actually really started to hurt their business, and they were losing money fast. So they took the big boost of money that they got from all those people who immediately jumped on, and they decided to fund a movie. It's like, yeah, okay, we'll use this money to fund movies. Then we'll make a bunch of money off of that. You know, we'll fund a movie for like 30 million or something. We'll make 70 to 100 million off of it. Bam. That's a huge chunk of profit. Moviepass is safe. And this thing tanked. So they basically took the little bit of reserve cash that they had, gambled it all on this film, and then lost it instantly. So yeah, I remember like 2 weeks after this movie came out, it might have been a little bit more than that, but it was enough time for people to go, oh, that thing tanked and you lost a lot of money on this. That's when I was at the theater trying to see a movie, and all of a sudden Moviepass said, we're not working right now. And then the very next day I came back and like, guess what? You can't see brand new movies anymore. Sudden change of plans. Yeah, and it was like just very recently after this movie came out, so it was very clear that I was like, that was kind of the last nail in your coffin, Moviepass. But the movie we're talking about is Gotti, and I was honestly trying to think about what our final movie for the Gauntlet of Garbage should be, and I was thinking of doing this because on the last episode of this, we did Dark Crimes, which was one of only 2 movies last year to get a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it kind of seemed appropriate that the other one should be Gotti, the other film that got 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, and then someone actually contacted me on Twitter and said, are you going to do Gotti? I was like, all right, that's a sign.
Okay,
so we're gonna do it. And I gotta say, even though it's appropriate because of what it did to Moviepass, I kind of hate that we're going out on this film because I got nothing to say about this movie. This movie is just a big bag of nothing.
It is just like the most stereotypical Italian mobster stuff ever.
Oh man.
Like, it was...
Okay. I felt bad for Italians watching this movie. Not because it's a bunch of, like, Italian mobsters, so it's, like, you know, showing, like, Italian people as criminals in there. I felt bad because it's the worst Italian impersonations you've ever seen. There's literally a moment in here in which John Travolta, who was playing John Gotti, came up to 2 of his kids and was like, hey, what are you 2 going and doing in here? Here's some money. Here, go out and get yourself some ice cream. I don't like ice cream. Well, go get yourself a fudge. Go get yourself a pizza. I don't like pizza. Then go to the movies. Go to the movies there and see that movie. What's that movie that you love? What's that movie you love? It's the one with the spaghetti and meatballs. That's literally what he said. That's literally what he said. Go and see that movie you like, the one about spaghetti and meatballs. But that was kind of the highlight of this film, because that was kind of like the one moment that made me go, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Really? It wasn't the introduction by John Travolta?
Oh, dude. Oh, this thing opens up with a thing that literally made both of us burst out laughing. Because it opens up as like showing shots in New York, and then it shows John Travolta there. He's overlooking like the Brooklyn Bridge, just sitting there, like looking out at, and then he turns around at the camera like this, and I immediately went, please tell me you are not about to address the audience. New York, greatest city in the entire world, especially if you're a guy like me. You ain't never seen a guy like me before. And I was like, oh shit, wow. Wow, you thought that was a good move? You thought that was a good way to open up your movie? And then he never does that again. He's not like the narrator throughout this entire film.
He was the narrator.
But I mean, like, voiceover.
Yeah, it was a voiceover, but they never cut to him.
Even that is sparing. There was a moment in which he came back as a voiceover, and I was like, oh shoot, I forgot we were doing that. But then at the end of the movie, it comes back and goes, tell you what, you could live to be 5,000 years old. You ain't never gonna see another guy like me. I was like, that's real nice bookends, but that doesn't... What?
And like the weird...
What was your point for this? What was your idea behind that?
The weird part about that is, like, it's about, like, John Gotti's life. So, of course, it's, like, about his death, too. But, like, he's still narrating even after the character is dead.
There was a moment in which he talks about how he feels about what his son did after he died. And I was like, how do you know that? How do you know what John Gotti thought about what his son did after he died? How? How exactly? Also, can we talk about the son in here? The son is played by the same actor from when he's like 15 to when he's in his 40s. Same actor. And I kept looking at the dude like, all right, he's this Jersey Shore looking guy. So I was like, all right, so he's like in his early 20s at this point. He's still living at home. You know, maybe he's a little bit younger in the movie's time right now because, you know, they're going to use the same actor when he's in his 20s or something. But then they keep using him throughout the entire film, and they just put glasses on him to make him look older. And there is a moment, every now and again, they will use actual real footage from the news about stuff going on. And there was a moment in here in which they're talking about the trials that his son is going through, and it shows the actual guy, and it shows, like, yeah, this kind of, like, overweight guy with gray hair in his 40s, and it's still the same dude who was playing him when he was like 15 years old, just now with glasses on. Really? You couldn't, like, there was actually a moment in here in which he meets the lady who's going to become his wife one day, and he goes, so you want to get a beer? And she goes, Johnny, we're 16 years old. Oh, right, you want to get so? I went, you are not 16. You are not, like, you and the lady you're talking to are not 16. Both of you look like you are in, like, your... Up until this point, you would look like you were in your early 20s, but the moment that she said we're 16, it looked like they aged a decade. Instantly. Like, I could suddenly just like start spotting, like, the two of them, like, no, I think you're 30. Actually, kind of looks like you're getting a little bit older right now. But then, like, the moment in which you realize he's supposed to be in his 40s later on, it's like, you look like you're 12. You look like you're, like, playing dress up in your daddy's costume right now.
It's like, we can't get a 16-year-old, but we also can't get a 40-year-old. Let's get someone who's somewhere in the middle. Someone who's 20. All right, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Like,
just stretch out that age as much as you can. But let's go ahead and talk about this film, like, story-wise. As you said, it is the life of John Gotti. And I had heard of John Gotti. I don't really, like... Mafia history isn't really a thing that I know.
Like, yeah.
But there's this film, it's about John Gotti, and I was like, oh, okay, so I don't really know anything about John Gotti, so I'm going to learn about John Gotti. After watching this, I'm more confused than ever about John Gotti.
Yeah, it's like, honestly, if there was, like, a documentary on John Gotti, I would watch that and, like, just tell everyone to, like, screw this movie over.
This movie is shot in a way and edited together in a way that I don't know really why this dude's important, what he did at the end of this thing after he passes away. You have all these interviews of people going, he did so much for the community. Like, he made the community better. I was like, how?
How?
What did he do? What did he do? I don't know anything he did other than, like, he killed some other mobsters. And
it's like...
Why does that make him the one that everyone in the neighborhood likes? And, like, you see all these, like, newspapers saying, like, the world's done. And I was like, I don't know what he did other than, like, he was at a bar with Stacy Keach. Like, I don't know anything that, like, we know that he killed one guy at one time. He arranged to hit on someone, and then he took over the mob. What did he do in that time? There's honestly a moment in here in which I thought they're probably never going to show any of the mob stuff, and this is all just going to be his life at home. Because it goes for a long period of time just showing him at home. And I just assumed that was going to be the movie.
And it's like...
And then it turns out it's not, and all the mob stuff is actually important, and I just thought, well, then we probably should focus on that.
Yeah, and another thing is, like, a lot of the important stuff is just being narrated over, and it's...
A lot of the stuff that happens in here, I have no idea any of the importance for it. Like, there are many times in which, like, someone will die, and I had no idea who they were, who did it, why they did it, what ramifications this was going to have. It was almost like I was watching a montage of his life. Like, it was like watching his greatest hits.
Yeah.
Which also describes the soundtrack for this film. The soundtrack on this movie is god-awful. It's almost like if now that's what I call music people, had to come up with a soundtrack for a movie that was set in the 80s. Because they are just the most generic hits from that time period.
Yeah, it's like, there was like one point where they were playing Walk Like an Egyptian.
And we had no idea, like, it's after he is on trial, which I don't even know what he's on trial for at this point. I asked you...
Another one of his murders, I guess? I don't know.
But why is this one important? Why is he on trial for this one? And why are we focusing on this one? And why are any of, like, which one specifically was it that got him to this point? What ramifications is that going to have? We have no idea. It just shows him on trial for something.
Yes.
We don't know what. And then he's found innocent, and he walks out of there, and then he goes, walk like an Egyptian. And we had no idea what he was playing. It was like, maybe because he walked, because when you're not convicted, that's, called walking. So they decided to play Walk Like an Egyptian.
Well, I guess there isn't a song called Walk Like an Italian, so...
If there was, this movie would have found it. Walk Like an Egyptian makes more sense when they use it in, like, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure than it does in this thing. At least that thing went to Egypt. Yeah. Again, I want to keep going into this.
But it's
incomprehensible.
It is.
This is a movie that we kind of said the same thing about Dark Crimes, in that it was just edited together in a way that was like, well, the real murderer was this person. Who? Who? That person over there? That person we saw once? Okay. This thing does the exact same thing, except that at least Dark Crimes was like shot in an interesting way.
And it's like, at least Dark Crimes had, like, a story, like, with...
That's the other thing. Dark Crimes at least had point A to point B. Everything that got you between those moments was stupid.
Yes.
And there's giant chunks of it that feel like you need to know that were cut out, but you could still get from A to B.
Yeah, you could fill in the blanks, but...
This is just a jumbled collection of events.
Yeah.
This is honestly one of the worst biopics I've ever seen in my life. Because it feels like people who just really wanted to celebrate John Gotti, but they had no idea how to tell the story. Mm-hmm. So they're like, well, I want to talk about this thing, and this thing, and this thing. It reminds me a lot of when superhero movies just started. I remember when I was a teenager, and superhero movies were just starting, and like the X-Men film was coming out, and I had a friend who was like, oh, this X-Men film looks terrible. Where's Cable? Where's Bishop? Where's Apocalypse? Where's all this stuff? And I was like, you honestly want them to throw in like 2 different time travelers who are here for different reasons from different storylines into the first X-Men film? It feels like this is what it was for John Gotti. It was like, well, here's this thing, and 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 we can only spend 5 minutes on every single one of them. Not even 5 minutes, like 3 minutes max on every single one of these events. And they don't bother to explain how any of them lead into each other. It really is just a super weird film.
And it's just like, it's like, there's not even like really good explanation at all.
There's no
Like I said, like, it is like the most stereotypical, hey, bada bing, bada boom, bah, bidi, blah. It's like...
You remember that skit they did on Family Guy?
Yes, where Peter was trying to talk Italian.
Because he had a mustache now?
That was it.
That is what this is. I was getting offended for Italians watching this thing. Like, what you just did there is not an exaggeration. No. That is literally stuff that is going on in this film. And there's so many moments in here in which, like, they just skim over stuff incredibly quickly. But they're also trying to, like, tell a story, like, set in the present of John Guy. It seems like it's supposed to be John Guy telling his life story to his son because his son is trying to, like, take a plea deal so that he can go back to seeing his family.
But then, like, the bookends don't make sense because of that.
The bookends, like, why have a bookend when you're also going to have, like, future, like, present day you telling the story of your life?
Like, unless it's supposed to be, like, John Gotti in heaven, he's, like, talking to us, like, so this is what really happened, or some shit like that.
That's all I could figure. Yeah. Like, I guess maybe that's what it is. Like, but then, like, goddamn. It's so weird because then after that, we then cut back to him starting off, like his very first hit. And I was like, okay, so we're going to see the story of how he rose up. And the next thing you know, he's got gray hair and he's got a family. He's got all these kids in there. He's got a wife and he's already like a high ranking made man. And I was like, well, I guess we're not telling that story now. All right, fine. And then it's the story of him like becoming the Don. But again, there's so much in here that has nothing to do with that at all, that when it eventually gets to that point, it's like, I guess that's what the movie's about now. Oh, he is the Don. Well, what's going to happen because of that? Nothing. It's just business as usual. I guess this movie, like, again, at the end of it, you've got like actual real clips of people talking about how John Gotti forever. Oh, man, I've been coughing a lot. John Gotti forever. Oh, he protected the neighborhood. Oh, we all looked up to him. Oh, it's this thing and that thing, and that's why he was so special. It's like, I didn't see any of that shit in here. I did. I saw, like, him sitting around, like, talking about, I don't respect that guy over there. Oh, Sammy the Bull Bravado, I don't care about that guy at all over there. Oh, listen, we gotta take out this guy. That guy gets taken out. Okay, well, now what happens? A car just blew up. All right, okay. I don't like this guy over there. He's pretending to be crazy so that he doesn't go to prison. Oh, but he's also a major Don, and we gotta take him out, too. That guy doesn't come back around for another hour into the film, and then when he comes back up, you never even see the guy. You only see like the one same still image that they have of him over and over again. And then it's like, okay, so one of your guys just died. Who did that? Was it the crazy guy you mentioned? Because you haven't mentioned him in a while, and yet don't mention him again after this moment, so I don't think it was him. So who did this thing? And, okay. I mean, I'm making this sound crazier than it is, but I'm not making it sound more comprehensible than it is. No. Like, I'm making it sound like we're sitting there pulling our hair out. This is the biggest sin of this movie. It's incomprehensible, but we've seen other incomprehensible films that were intriguing because they were so weird. This one's just boring. Mm-hmm. This one is really, really boring because you don't care about any of them, and everything you're seeing is stuff that you've seen in other better mobster films. It feels like you literally just took up a bunch of other mobster films, cut them all together into one massive, like, hour and 40-minute long supercut, except that then because you're mixing, like, so many different storylines in there that don't connect, none of them have any weight or impact on them.
So, although I feel like we should talk about, like, the
Sun dying?
What?
The sun dying?
Yes.
Yeah. I knew that's where you were going with this. That's the only thing in here that looked like it actually had a story going for like a moment there. Because there's a moment which his son is out on his bicycle and his car comes down the street and hits him, which, by the way, this is one of the worst shot things I saw all year.
Yeah, honestly, the car was just going so slow and the son was just riding his bike in a circle the whole time. So it's like,
the car is going like it's in slow motion, but the bike is going at normal speed, so you know it's not in slow motion. And the car turns the street and the son is at the end of the street and you see the car coming down, just going super slow. Plenty of time to see this kid. Mm-hmm. Plenty of time for the kid to see the car. And then the kid gets hit. The kid dies.
And that's another thing. Like, the way it was shot, you think the car just, like, bumped him over.
It was going so slow, it looked like he would hit the kid and the kid would just go,
bump. And, like, maybe he would just, like, cry because he got a scraped knee or something like that. But no, he was actually dead. And it's like, that's ridiculous.
That's like, you can't even have, like, a noise, like, off camera.
Yeah, like stock sound effect, like car screeching and smash. Like,
yeah, something. Yeah, man, this thing, oh my god, it's one of the worst, it really is one of the worst shot things I've seen all year. Because you look at that as, like, fake. Like, you want to look at a child's death in this movie and go, no, stop lying. That didn't happen. But then after that, there's the moment in which John is sad. You see him, like, crying in the middle of the night. You see a scene of, like, the wife, like, she wants to run away and pack all her stuff and just leave this life forever. And, like, okay, family's being torn apart. And then there comes a scene where John walks into the bedroom. His wife is there in the bed. He, like, pulls the curtains open. He's like, all right, come on. I'm sad, too. But we got 4 other kids. We can't live like this forever. And that is the last you ever hear of any of this. Like, after that resolve, they're back to they're back at the Christmas party.
Yay!
Everything is fine.
Everything is okay.
Like, that is literally, that is the best example of how fast this movie moves past stuff that really should be explored. the death of their child gets wrapped up by him going, come on, we gotta wrap this up, come on, quit crying about our dead kid. And then that's it. That's the movie. That's everything in this movie. Everything in this film that, like, okay, well, maybe this will be something, and now we're on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it really is, like, something that, it's weird to say that something is boring while it keeps moving, because most boring things, like, linger. This thing doesn't linger. Hey, Peach. This thing doesn't linger. It moves. Yeah, because it tries to cover way too much ground. And because of that, nothing ever has any weight to it.
Yeah. It's like, it's confusing and boring at the same time, because they're trying to cover so much in such a short time.
Yeah, like, there is so much in here that's like, oh, that's going to be a thing. That's never mentioned again. Oh, well, now we're at a thing, but why is it a thing? Because I don't know what related to this at all. Like, yeah, that is a lot of this movie. I really, it's so weird that as I started watching this, I was like, well, at least I'll be able to learn about John Gotti, because I don't know anything about this very historical figure. At the end of this, I know nothing about John Gotti. I watched an hour and 40-minute long biopic, and all I know is his son died, and he was a Don. That's it. That is all I got. Also, he has a son who aged real prematurely and then stopped aging for like 20 years. Yeah, like, that's all I know about this guy. Also, they never make him likable.
No.
Ever. And at the end of this movie, they want you to look at him like, yeah, he did so much for the community, and he was a big superstar, and everyone looked up to him. Why?
Why? I mean, I get it, like, he's a mobster, so you don't want him to be, like, a role model, but it's like...
But the movie ends with people saying he was a role model, and you look at him and it's like, I'm not, like, all I know is you killed some people. That's literally all I know about your life. I know zero else about anything you have ever done. That's it. This is some weak shit, man. This was a weak film. But I can't... There are other films this year that were better made than this that are going to be lower on my worst of the year list because I got mad at them. This film, it's impossible to be mad at because it's impossible to feel emotions towards it other than like, what? If that is an emotion. I can't give this a score. No. I really can't because I have zero feelings about this.
It's like a plate of spaghetti with no sauce or meatballs.
Oh, you mean that movie now you really like the one about the spaghetti and meatballs? Oh. That was in... I don't want to believe that was in the script. I believe that was a really weak improv. Yeah. I believe that was a weak-ass improv. By the way, John Travolta's character from Saturday Night Fever is a better interpretation of Italian Americans living in New York than this portrayal was of an actual person. Oh my gosh. So that was it. That was the Gauntlet of Garbage. Peach, what are you trying to do?
She's trying to get onto my lap.
There you go.
There we go.
So that was our 2019 look back at 2018 for the Gauntlet of Garbage. Come back next week in which we are going to have the conclusion to all this in which I do actually give you my best of the year list and my worst of the year list. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time. Bye.
Bye.